Hello, my peeps. My apologies for not practicing this ahead of time. There we go. It's not so much practicing. I had done this once before. But after last week, I decided I had to try something new and I hadn't done it in a bit and I changed a few things in between and oh yeah. But it was sort of a last minute thing because, well, I'll explain in a minute. I'm going to give people a chance to show up since I told them where to go at the last minute. And then I was trying to figure out how to make the chat work. And last time it, somewhere in the settings, it asked me if I wanted, it was like live chat or some other kind of chat. And if I didn't pick the right one, I wouldn't be able to see the comments afterwards. So I was waiting for that to come up because I was going to be all smart this time because I knew better this time that I had to pick yes on that. And it never came up. It never asked me squat when I did it this time. So who knows? All righty, let's see. It is Show and Tell with Tracy. And I am Tracy, your friendly neighborhood paper pusher. And this was supposed to be today's project. This set me back a little bit, I will tell you. It's going to be awesome because those of you who know me, I am a stubborn person. Actually, stubborn sounds derogatory. I am a determined person. And so I won't quit. So yeah, I'm eventually going to figure that thing out. And when I do, it's going to be awesome for you guys. In the meantime, though, I have this little project that I had been meaning to do, and it was just going to be one of those, I'll get to it kind of things. But as it turns out, the day that I originally saw it, I loved it. I went to town. I knew it was quick, so I thought, okay, this is what we're doing today. It turned out to not be quick because I kind of, okay, it should be quick, but if you're me, you tend to, get carried away, especially when something's fun. But today, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? It also didn't ask me for a title on YouTube, which was really too bad because I was going to see what was going to happen when I typed this in. But today we're making a sheet load of mini cards. That's right, people. We are going to take a sheet of cardstock. That is what I said, a sheet of cardstock, and make a sheet load of mini cards. That is actually, I heard that term on something else like days after I had made these, but I thought it applied. So here's what we're making. I have so many things on the go right now, and I have all these props out. You see this nice little chunk? Oh, hello, Tamara. Woohoo! We're giving this one a shot to see how it goes. So yeah, your little space that you get to see is just this tiny little space, and it looks really good, but the entire periphery of it, look at me and my fancy words, the entire periphery of it is just loaded with stuff so that I can try to remember all the things I want to try to remember, because I have a skull splitting headache today, and it's affecting concentration abilities. I'm going to blame the failed card on that. So here's the other thing too. I always have stuff on my desk, and I never, there's not actually such a thing as a fail, because whatever might not work out the first try becomes something else. So the other day on the weekend, I was trying to figure out how to make a triangle box, which I had made a couple times before super easily, and it just would not come to me on the weekend. And so I had all these like scored bits of cards. So this is what that was supposed to be, but in the end it didn't turn out to be. But then I realized if I just trimmed it down a bit, like this isn't even close to triangle. If I just trimmed it down a little bit, it made this lovely holder for these. And these are what we're doing today. These are just little lunchbox cards, and they're adorable. And they're addictive. Sorry, I had to adjust my chair and move closer. So I'm going to give you some like thoughts on them as we go through them. I was doing a conference, a virtual conference. Excuse me, must drink tea. And for those who were watching last week, no, I have not learned my lesson. I have a full cup of piping hot tea, tea bag in, string hanging over the edge. Living on the edge, people. So yes, I'm watching this virtual conference. And the first presenter of the morning is showing how he makes these little lunchbox cards. Now, they could be lunchbox cards. They could be pop them on the desk card. They could be somebody asked you to cut them some squares, so you throw one of them in the envelope when you send them to them cards. That's a little hard, long to write though. They're so cute, and they're just little pick-me-ups. And given all the sheets that's going on in the world right now, why not give someone a little pick-me-up? So the original person who did them, his name was Daniel. I can't remember his last name. He's a pastor who discovered paper crafting, and away he goes. This is basically what he was showing as the card, right? It was a little card, stamp on it, color it, pop it in someone, away you go. So of course, that's how it started, and then it went all over the place. But I will show you a couple things I'll show you, thank you, Shmira. I'll show you a couple things I picked up along the way. I love to color with the blends. Our blends are amazing. And it's not a big deal that blends tend to, because they're like such good color, they tend to go through the cardstock to the backside. Now, this is not the end of the world, and it kind of gives you, it's upside down, but if you look at it this way, you kind of see the shape of what's on the front. So if you're going to make your cards like this and color them with blends, just know that they're going to go through. But is it a big deal? Now, if you don't want that, here, we'll do this again. Oh, look at this. This was not even planned. Look at me. That just works out perfectly, though. So I colored with, I keep forgetting I actually have a proper camera now, so I can zoom in. So this one I colored with watercolor pencil crayons. So it's a more subdued looking coloring job, but it doesn't go through the card. Now, if you're just writing a little bit and you don't care, it doesn't matter. This actually leaves the whole card open if you wanted to write a big long thing on the inside of it. But you'll just notice it's a different look, right? Ooh, how about this? Ta-da! Tracy's playing with toys. Oh, look how focused that is. So that's basically the difference. Now, because this is how my brain works. This is how this process went. Oh, that's cute. Oh, I wonder if, you know what, that I could do. And then it just, like, that's how my brain goes. So this is the other one I made. And you'll notice it's considerably darker because blends come with a light and a dark of each of the colors, with the exception of the new skin tone ones. They come like a light and a dark. And so I knew I had used the dark on the outside and the light on the inside. But then when I went to color them, I grabbed a different color and we just wasn't even paying attention, and I colored it all in very dark. So this one is like totally darker, but nonetheless. So instead of making it directly onto the card, I just made a little layer and I popped it on a colored base. So now I can color it as dark as I want with the blends, and the inside doesn't have anything showing through. So there's just 3 looks of the same card, right? So as I said, my brain, when it starts and off, yeah, squirrel, off it goes. So I made these cards. But then I thought, well, hey, if you really wanted to make this quick and you didn't want to have to actually color. I mean, I love to color, but not everybody does. There's weirdos in the world who don't like to color or fussy cut. Come on. I thought, well, maybe you just stamp instead. Instead of coloring, let's just stamp. So then I made this card. I love this little wildfire set. Ooh, one of these times I'll actually have the sets ready to go so I can show you what I actually use for some things. I do have the otter set, but I buried it under all my papers. So I made this one, and it just says just a little hi from me. And all I stamped the stem, I stamped the flower, stamped some grass, stamped this, 2 minutes. And then I put these delightful little brass butterflies on, which are super flat. There you go. So they don't make it big and bulky in the postage. Now, in this case, they could be 4 times the size and it wouldn't matter, but these are, oh, they're so addictive. So I made my little thistles. And these don't have envelopes or anything. Like, that's not the idea behind them. The idea is you can just pop them into things and away they go. So I made these and I was like, oh, that's cute. Then I was mass producing them because I was, like I said, I was sending out some squares that morning, and I thought I'm going to put little notes in the envelope with the squares. But I wasn't paying attention, and I stamped one of the cards I was doing. I stamped just a little high for me. I stamped it too far over and cut off part of the thing. Not wanting to waste, again, we do not have fails. You ought to clean off your desk. But boom, Tara's here all week. I love me a good pun. So yes, not wanting to waste that tiny little piece of cardstock, this is it. I took one of my die cuts because I always have die cuts later out. I got to put a big different sentiment on it because I was mad at the other one, even though it was my fault. So I just popped it up over top. So the sentiment that gets cut off, you can't actually see it, but it's just underneath here. And then I thought, well, since I'm doing this anyways, I might as well try some twine on it. I might as well pop it up on dimensionals, and I might as well put it on a green cardstock. So this card got a lot fancier than the original intent, but it's still, because I have little scraps all over my desk all the time, it still only took a couple minutes, and I like it. So that's what I did. So then leaning into what else is on my desk that I can use? Scraps of die cut paper, or sorry, die cut designer paper. And then I just stamped a couple things on it really quick. And I'm going to show you another, maybe I'm going to show you. I'm not actually sure why I don't move that out of the way for now. I can't make that focus. Let's move this out of the way because I don't know if that background has something to do with it. Oh, yes, it does. Look at that. I'm just a technical whiz today. Okay, so this windmill, I was going to say tulip. This windmill was very easy to stamp. And you notice I colored it and gave it this really nice, like antique-y look, but it's still very light. So it did not go through. So I know you're all out there saying, oh my goodness, Tracy, how did you do that? Well, let me show you. How did I do that? As soon as I find a piece of cardstock, because I realize I don't have one. There we go. So using our cute otter, which I will undig from here, came out of the now over celebration. I love these otters. This is my favorite otter, but it doesn't matter which one you pick. They're all adorable. And I envision this one holding some kind of a banner. So that's why we're going to go with him. But because I didn't actually prep my card, we're just going to do it on a piece of cardstock. But I'm going to show you really quickly. And then I'll carry on with a couple more samples, and then I'll show you how to cut them. And who knows what else I'll do because we're just winging it. So this is just a regular old stamp pad. It's a regular new stamp pad, actually. And this is a blender pen. Now, not to be confused, excuse me as I squish my chair across the floor with, oh my goodness, Tracy, how did you do this? Yeah, I knew you were thinking that. So this is a Stampin' Blends. These are the alcohol markers that I love to color with. This is a blender pen. Blends are relatively new, I want to say, given a 30-year company and the fact that I think blends are within the last like 6 or 8 of it. When I started 10 years ago, blender pens had already been around a while. And these little tools, I think, get forgotten, but they are genius. I'll get real technical with you. They have something in the inside. I don't even know what it is. I want to say glycerin, but I don't actually know that that's right. My very clever friend, Tamara, probably knows it and she can tell me. And these blender pens you can do lots of things with. But I will show you to get this effect. Here's what I did. I stamped, and in this case, we're going to do it with an otter because I think it'll work well because it's the same color. I stamped my otter in suede. Because I know me, I'm going to close my ink pad. Because if not, something's going to be in it, and then something's going to be on it, and then it's going to be all over the place. And then I take my blender pen and a scrap of paper. I'm trying to grab a scrap of paper that I didn't write anything embarrassing on. I have notes all over my desk, but here we go. Just going to take some stickies. We're going to take our blender pen, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that picture, or I pick a dry end, and I'm going to rub the blender pen. I probably should have picked a narrower one, and I'm just going to pull the color in using this pen and I'm going to be quick about it because I don't want the ink to dry too much. And I'm just going to pull it in. I should have had one of these ready already because I'm not going to do this whole thing so you don't have to watch me. But I'm basically just using the blender pen to pull the ink in that I just stamped out. I know. She said, not knowing, no, glycerin is in Versamark. Glycerin. Huh. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to figure out what's in here. And I'm going to put it in a post one of these times, but I guess I don't actually know what it is. But anyways, that's the idea. So, and if you can use these for multiple colors, this is what the scrap paper's for. If I had stamped something else on here, This is basically how you clean it off. You just kind of clean the ink off. If you're using a really dark color, you'll do this a couple times and then you'll notice it'll come clear. And that's all it takes. I'm not going to do this whole thing. Like I said, that'd be painful for you. But look at that. Is that not cool? And it's so easy. And it basically means that if you have an ink pad and this, you can color all sorts of things. Right? So it gives you so many more options of how you can do it. You can stamp something in black. You can use the same pen and just, I don't know, you guys know this trick. Let's say I'm running out of enough because, well, let's look at his belly. And there's nothing wrong with having a big belly, she says. But let's say though that because he is a little bit wider, you start to run out of the ink. See, this is what I said. I just dipped my finger into the ink pad. You can squish your ink pads when they're closed like this. You can just kind of squish them. Use your big stamping muscles, and that gets some ink into the lid. And you can pick this stuff up directly off of there too. Right now, I would advise if you're going to try this for the first time to have a piece of scrap paper beside you so that you don't end up doing what I just did and getting this like really big dark spot. But you can get it in there, and then you can just work it, spread it out, get your shading in. But you can pull like directly off of an ink pad. That was the point of that story. And then again, just clean it off. So one pen, few ink pads, boom, your color and your honors. That's what I'm saying. Ooh, a lid. Okay. Well, like I said, we'll figure that answer out. So, and again, this does not bleed through to the back of the paper. So if you're making single layer cards, that will help you. Like I said, I have stuff everywhere trying to figure out how to move them around. So carrying on with our samples. Like I said, this is DSP. I always have little strips of DSP, or when you cut them down, you could put them this way. You could put a full sheet of DSP on the back and then just put like a little label. Again, just because this was the original intent of stamp and color does not mean you cannot veer off and do whatever you want. I also always have die cuts on my desk at any given point. Actually, I have a bin like this right now. Oh, these would fit? Oh, yes, it would. Okay, it doesn't match because one's vanilla, but sometimes I stamp something and then decide, no, that's not going to work. And so I keep it. And so who knows, this may also be in the little box too. Sorry, just a minute, I hit a button and off we went. There we go. So yeah, I might have sentiments. I might have large selections of die cuts. Sometimes, oh, see, I always have some labels. In this case, ribbon. These are all things that need to be put away, but until they get put away, they just end up on my desk. So I always have lots of them. So picking on the, ooh, would this fit? This is adorable. See, the one thing I never mentioned before was that there's no envelopes for these. All right. We're making little cards. So the fact that stuff sticks out past the edge, you don't really have to worry because we're not trying to stick it in an envelope anyways. So yes, this actually would make a very cute little card. And in this case, I would actually probably even have the wing sticking off more so I could stamp a little bit of like greenage behind. And then thanks for being a friend of Sora's. So that's what got this card going, was picking all the flowers up that were on my desk and just loading it up with die cut flowers. And then I put some dimensionals and I love this. This is like bright, happy, fun card. So die cuts work. And then there's the combination of a little bit of stamping, a little bit of die cuts. And again, I had been working on, if you watched, I don't know if it was a week or two ago, one of the color challenges was Crumb Cake, Pool Party, and Real Red. And I had a little leftover bits and pieces. And this stamp set, I was still in the pile of, hey, these need to go back on the shelf. And I saw this at the same time as I saw this, and I'm like, there we went. And again, I like to layer and I like dimensionals. And so I had a scrap of Crumb Cake. I put a little layer on it, and there we go. So then, okay, like I said, my brain goes, if I can, and away it went. So then I thought, well, this is really cute. And the same with the 3x3 cards. If you make a bunch of 3x3 squares, or if you're making the sampler, one of the things I always say is, well, you can always put it on a card front. So I thought, is this too small to go on a card front? So this is just Pool Party, same color as this. And there we go. For some reason, I'm having a hard time getting in the center of the camera. And I just thought, nope, I think that's a cute card. Now, if I had planned ahead, okay, it's a cute card. Obviously, I'm going to take this and cut it in half. I'm not going to put the whole card on. But actually, now that I say that, maybe I would. Maybe I would put it on like this so that you have this cute little card that actually has a little surprise. And then when you open it up, it's got an even bigger surprise. But I did think, so if you were making these and then you decided you needed to mail one of them, but you really liked your little design, then you could just pop them onto a card front, because then they could go in an envelope and be mailed. And in this case, I mean, you could stamp on the background here, you could put some stuff, but just all on its own, I thought that was pretty cute. So lunchbox cards, possibilities are endless. I would like to know what you're going to do with your lunchbox cards, because I'm going to challenge you to make some. So, and I maybe I plan to make too many, but I cut up a whole bunch of the little card fronts just to have around, because part of me, excuse me, apparently I finally hit puberty. Excuse me. Part of what I was thinking was, if I have the little blanks sitting on my desk, then and I totally would have. I'm not in the office anymore. Now I'm the only person in my office, so I'll leave notes to myself, I guess. I could put them in my son's lunch kit for school. Just what every teenage boy wants, I know. But I would totally, back in the office, I would totally have left these on people's desks. And I mean, not even necessarily wrote anything in them, because then they could, you know, replay them too. Or even just stick a little sticky on the inside with, like I do on the bigger cards, that just says, hey, hope you have a great day. Pop it on someone's desk. They walk by, they see it, they think, hey, this is, you know, spread the love, people. Okay, so the idea was, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of these blanks. I had a total squirrel moment there, did you notice? I'm gonna make a bunch of these blanks, and then when I'm stamping something else, if I'm using a stamp set, for example, because I have to film the video for them, so I still haven't put them away. This is the paper pumpkin that I was working on this weekend. I had so much fun with this set. This was the one I was supposed to be doing the live of, the technology did not cooperate. Does that work? Okay, so this leaf, which I absolutely love, the most adorable little cupcake, and this little yay are all like the perfect size for it. Some of these other ones would go, oh, I guess that would work too. These would go right off the page unless you split them. But these are like the perfect stamp sets to make somebody's birthday in the office, and you put like a little yay and a pumpkin, or that's not a pumpkin, and a cupcake, and maybe a little happy birthday underneath it, or even just this yay and a little cupcake. It's adorable. So I figured, if the blanks were ready on my desk, that as I'm doing other projects, if I happen to come across a stamp set that would work, that I would just use it, pop up a few, and have some spares for later. So I'm basically going to have my little box of completed ones. I'll make another little box of bits and pieces, so that as I'm going along, I can do them. I got such a nice reaction to the thistle cards that I decided to make more thistle blanks, and I'm actually going to make them on Highland Heather cardstock. So here's the thing: when we did this when I watched the dude do it, he never did really say what the size was. Like, I think he might have roughly said, but he never like told you how to cut anything. So it came to me to figure out how to cut it. Well, being the frugal person that I am, I decided that I had to cut it in a way that did not waste any paper. So to give you an idea on the size of these, this is a standard card base. So if you imagine taking your standard card base and cutting it in half like this, and then cutting it in half this way. So now you have, like, instead of having a card base like this, you now have 4 sheets, and then score them so you can fold them in half nicely. That's basically the size of this. So what I've basically done is taken, instead of 2 card bases, I'm making 8, because each card base now becomes 4 cards. I think I just made that sound more confusing than I needed to, because it's really not that hard. So here's what you're going to do, and here's what I'm going to recommend to cut down on the scoring. Now, you know me, I like my cards to tent, right? So this one would be landscape. And if I was doing, oops, we'll get one of these other ones out. If I'm doing it, sorry, this one would be portrait. and this is landscape, and I like them to open this way. I don't just turn my cards. I don't know. I'm weird that way. So I made two different things. Now, either way, whichever way you do them, this is still what I'm going to recommend. So we can do the landscape ones first. So take your sheet of paper, go in at 2 1/8 and score. Do not cut. Score. Flip your paper over. Go in at 2 1/8. That's totally crooked. And score. Then while you're in there, you can go to 4 1/4 and cut that bad boy in half. Now you're almost there. Now we're going to go to 2 3/4. We're going to take these big strips. Again, I seem to be having a hard time today with getting this in the right spot. So we're going to put these at 2 3/4. And we're going to cut. And now we're just going to cut these things off. 2 3/4. And this is because 2 3/4 is half of 5 1/2, right? So a regular card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So by doing it this way, I've now taken my one like long skinny half sheet and made it into 4. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Take it, 2 3/4. 2 3/4. And another. Now, I would imagine you could start with like the arm of your cutter out and cut this way, but I never do that. I always do it the easiest way. And to me, the easiest way does not involve opening the arm on my cutter, because if I did that, I'd have to make more room on my desk. Well, that's not the easy way. Okay, so now I've ended up with 8 of these blanks, and they're scored in the middle. And so when I fold them in half, and I'm very particular, so I line them up perfectly, and I give them a nice little crease with a bone folder. Boom, landscape cards. There's 8 of them. Now, same general idea. Excuse me, if you're doing the portrait. Only this time, we're going to do the 2 3/4 first, and we're putting our paper in. It's funny, when you do the landscape cards, you put your paper in portrait. When you're doing the portrait cards, put your paper in landscape. Yeah, I will be doing this in the blog, so I'll explain all this. But I just wanted to show you how quick and easy it was to do this. What did I just cut? I just cut the landscape. So now I'm cutting portrait. Okay, so I'm doing 2 3/4. Flipping it again and doing 2 3/4, because it's actually 8 1/4, but I don't feel like opening the arm far enough to make that work. So I do 2 3/4 this way. I'm going to cut it in half at 5 1/2. By the way, this our little score, Tamara, you probably know. I think this is probably 2 summers ago that these first came out. The new version of the trimmer. I changed my blade for the first time today, and I usually just cut like the pattern paper on it, but I have cut lots of cardstock on it. But I was cutting today, and I noticed it was getting a little fuzzy, and it was time for a new blade. So I broke down and put a new blade on. But I think I got almost 2 years of cutting, and I used my trimmer a lot before I actually had to change the blade. Okay, so now we're going 2 1/8. 2 1/8, half of 4 1/4. Half of 4 1/4. So this is how the measurements came out. I didn't want to waste any. I didn't want to have little, bits and pieces left over. I just wanted to equally make this. Now, if you really wanted to, I guess you could make envelopes for them. But the point is that you're just popping them in with stuff. So I don't think you need to. So there we go. So again, 2 1/8. So I've scored these in half. Or scored them at the halfway mark, I should say. And then score them in half makes it look like I scored them so hard they're in 2 pieces now. And then 2 1/8 again. And fold them in half. Oh, that one folded quite nicely. And now I have the portrait one. So now I have 8 portrait, 8 landscape, a bunch of blanks because I just happened to make those earlier. And those basically, I did figure it out what size the blanks were and how to make those work. And so to make these little fronts, so for me, because I am a little bit particular, if I'm going to cut with the blend or color with the blends, I'm going to put it on here first. So this square, so these basically end up, what did I put this at? Okay, so these end up being 2 3/4 by 2 1/8. So this piece is 2 by 2 5/8. So it's just a tiny bit smaller. So when I cut these, I ended up with a 1/2 inch strip going down the side. Now, given that a lot of cards, 1/2 inch strip is the perfect size for the sentiment, I wasn't too worried about that piece being used. But so I cut up a sheet of these, which I will use, like I said, just because I know me, I will use them on the white card bases. I will also use them on the colored card bases. And actually, I'll fold one of these in half because it will give you a better idea of just, this is, like I said, I like a skinny border. You could make them smaller if you wanted to. Push down on the blade, and I'm not supposed to. Once a month. Holy cow. Well, and like I said, most of the time when I cut my cardstock, sorry, reading the comments. Most of the time when I cut my cardstock, I do cut it on my big guillotine cutter, but I do cut it like sometimes on there, and cut DSP all the time. Like I rarely cut DSP on the guillotine. I cut it on the trimmer. And yeah, today when I did it, I was like, huh. And then when I opened the package, I have not used a single blade out of it. So yes, I have nursed that thing along. Okay, so there, I have my big thumbs in the way. So that give you an idea. But yes, for me personally, I'm going to stamp on here and color with the blends and then put it on the base. Now I did on this one, the sample that I showed you, I did get, a little carried away maybe with dimensionals, because there's dimensionals between those layers and then there's dimensionals here as well. But you can, there's nothing saying you can't just adhere this thing straight down to the card, right? So that it is flat. So you could just color it that way, stick it on. But these little card blanks will work for my colored ones. They'll work for my white ones. They'll work for the landscape version. They're all the same, right? So now I have a whole bunch of stuff. So when I get to my next project and I'm stamping something, I'm going to take as I'm going, even if I don't necessarily color it right away. If I'm using the blender pen, I need to do it right away. But if I'm going to color with this kind of blend, I'm just going to stamp as I go, have a few little bits and pieces. And then once I finish my projects, throw a few of these cards together, pop on a few embellishments, pop them up, however. And now I've got a ready supply of these. I will hand them to the person who hands me a Starbucks. I haven't been to Starbucks very often. I used to go every morning on the way to work, and now I barely go. One, because I don't have one in the town I'm in, so I have to actually be out somewhere doing something. But I'd hand them to the guy at Starbucks or the person who does the groceries. I gave Valentine's treats to the man who I do the parking lot pickup of my groceries, and the very nice man who brought my groceries out, I gave him 4 little Valentine's treats. So him, the other lady who came out at the same time as him, and whoever was left in the store could all have a little Valentine treat. I honestly would just, people just like it when you give them nice things, little pick-me-ups. So there we go. Whichever way you decide to do them and however you want to do them, little lunchbox cards that are just, or desktop cards that are just adorable, that you can, I don't know, brighten someone's day with. And now I have this much here. I'm going to pull these down a little bit. I have this much stuff ready to go to make more. So if you know me and you run into me somewhere along the way, expect that I'm whipping out a lunchbox card to hand to you. Actually, I was at my son's hockey. Maybe the ref would appreciate a card. I have to come up with a hockey version of this so we can hand them out. And actually, he plays in the Fun League, so most of the refs you could give this to, because they are utterly awesome to volunteer their time. So there we go, peeps. We're done. Sheet load of cards. I hope you all have a lovely Tuesday. I'm going to go pick up whatever it is I just kicked and knocked over underneath the desk and clean up this mess. And who am I kidding? I'm going to make up a few more cards because they are, like I said, totally addictive and fun to do. I am also happy to report, and I can say this now because it's the end, that we did not freeze up. So YouTube may be my go-to because it certainly has been friendlier to me than Facebook has been the last few times. So while I might post on Facebook telling you where to go, I do believe that this might be my modus operandi. I don't know what, it's like I swallowed a dictionary today, for the next few tries, just to see how it goes. I like how the comments come up. They're much easier to read than Facebook. They don't scroll by nearly as fast. And I don't know, I think it works. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to put these up in a post. And I would love it if you're making some little lunchbox cards, post your pictures. I want to see how you did. And I totally meant to grab the prize. Stand by one. Stand by one while I try to figure out what I did with it. Come on. Okay. Somewhere in here, I have a friendly hello. Nope. But look at this. This is the one I was trying to show you. This is where the thistle came from. Because whatever this flower is supposed to be, I made it into a thistle. I know I'm a total nerd. But I'm owning the nerd. I am. Oh, there we go. Sorry. I will totally own the nerd. Okay, so here's the thing. When I say I have a prize for you, I do not mean my half-used pack of paper and my well-loved, although nicely clean, stamp set. I mean a brand new one. So here we go. And the reason I picked this one is because there's little images you can make, so lots of little flowers and stuff. It's totally fine. Here we go. Get my piece here. This is a good way to test. If you want to know if a stamp set's going to work for lunchbox cards, just go like this and just hold your card out. So those flowers will fit. That bird will fit. These will fit. This will fit. Oh, look, a couple little stamp sets. Even hello friend. Oops. Hello friend. That big huge stamp, which you might not think, it fits. So stamp one of these images in a lighter color behind, and then stamp hello friend over top. Right? So I thought you could get a lot of use out of this particular stamp set. And now, because you can't get it anymore because celebration is over, I just thought, hey, I got an extra one. Maybe I can help you out. Plus, it comes with a pack of paper that goes with it that is gorgeous paper. Lovely, lovely paper. So even if you just wanted to try some of the cards that had little bits of paper on them, and a lot of these papers, I put a lot of thought into this. A lot of these papers are much lighter color and sort of an open pattern. I love this one. I don't know what it is about it, but I absolutely love this little buds here. You could just cut the little piece of oops, let's get him off camera. You could just cut the little piece of paper to put on here. And because it's lighter, you can stamp right over top of the paper. No labels, no nothing needed. Nice and simple cards. So imagine a brand new package of this paper and a brand new friendly hello stamp set. And all you have to do is post your sheet load of cards or pictures. If you make an entire sheet of the same card, post them all, post them different, whichever. But go to the post that I put on Facebook, post your pictures, and everybody who posts pictures of their little lunchbox cards goes in a draw, and I will draw, and one lucky person is going to get this lovely bundle sent to them. And then you'll have even more lunchbox cards to make. So off you go to create, people. I'm going to clean up my mess and do some more creating myself. I hope you have an awesome Tuesday. And I will see you back here on YouTube on Thursday. Oh, no, I won't. I have a Zoom on Thursday to do a kit class. I have a couple extra magnet board kits. This is one of those things where I don't know how many times am I going to say goodbye before I actually leave. Anybody counting? Because that seems to be where we're at. The lovely magnet board. I'm having trouble this week deciding what the menu is going to be. How sad is that? I just can't focus on it. So yes, the lovely magnet board. Mine's a little bit customized, but I have a couple extras of these, but we are doing a Zoom on Thursday to put them together. So if you are in the Edmonton, Warrenville area and want to grab one of those and join us for the Zoom on Thursday, they are $40 for the kit. I throw in the calendar. You can use the bits and pieces from the cards in the kit to make a little like backing and make your calendar look cool. And away we go. So I will not see you live on YouTube on Thursday. I'll see you back here next Tuesday and watch my Facebook channel and such in between for Facebook page in between for the post to enter to win the prize. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.